Okay. So, Teruvan Sanna, everybody. Today's Dhamma discussion will be on sense restraint and feeding the mind. This is a important question because we know that sense restraint, in theory at least, a lot of us know that sense restraint is an important thing. Um, when it comes to the world, it looks like almost all, especially developed countries, but we also call developed countries like Western countries outside, what they've usually catered to is sense pleasures. So there is quick accumulation, like quick sensory pleasures, which are easily accessible from the tap of like our smartphones and different places, whether it's movies or different theaters, restaurants, many different kinds of sense pleasures which have been developed for quick easy access, and also which last for a longer period of time. But then the thing about sense pleasures is, as Lord Buddha talked about, is that this is a never ending process. There is never a point where you would experience sense pleasures and be done with them completely. The problem of the mind is that it is always a continuous hunger. It feels like while we indulge in these sense pleasures, that is, while momentarily we drink water, our thirst is quenched. But that's not true. It's always going on. It's a process which is infinite. Throughout our entire samsara, we've been dwelling in this, and we still are. So that's the problem, major problem with regards to sense restraint. If you are familiar with the panchaskandha, as long as you will find value in senses, in what the senses can provide. What do I mean by that? By sight, sounds, taste, touch, smells, and even certain thoughts which make you happy. Um, you will need another panchaskandha, that is the five aggregates. You will need another five aggregates to experience this. So every moment you do indulge in it and you do find value in it, you automatically make the causes to have another five aggregates. So this process is actually the trap which keeps us in samsara. But the other fact is, there have been many spiritual practices which have identified the problem with sense pleasures. Yeah, for it's not just Buddhism. If you look at various other spiritual practices, they also practice sense restraint. They tell you not to indulge. Um, they tell you not to what you call go behind all these things, and some spiritual practices go to even extreme, where they don't indulge at all, like not even a bit. And you see that in certain Buddhist monasteries also, like some of them, they practice very vigorous disciplines where there is absolutely no talking with one another. There is a very strict discipline. There are different approaches to sense restraint. But here what we'll be talking is what makes the Buddhist approach, or what did the Buddha teach really in how to approach sense restraint. So Vihenganaya, can you continue from there?
Yes, so I'll take over from there. I think you've given a good introduction. So Teruvan Sarnai to everyone. Uh, so I'll start from an example. So as I think most of you know, right, this sense restraint and how we feed our senses is kind of making thing a little bit harder when you think about how it can take you through the samsara, how you get into traps and how you get into difficulties and disappointments. So it's the sensual feed that you give, right? So I'll just give an example to start off with. So if you think about a pet, think about pet, right? So think about like maybe a dog. or maybe a bulldog, I don't know, so some pet that you would like to feed, right? So you start feeding that pet every day, every morning you give meat, every evening you give meat, and you do this for months, you do this for years, and right, so this pet grows up slowly, it grows up, and it comes to a state that getting meat every day morning and getting meat every day evening is something like that pet would anticipate, that pet would definitely look forward for. So one day you think that okay, I don't have money, or maybe I have different work to do, or maybe I'm fed up of this, or you think that this is something is not useful, something you think, and you stop feeding this pet. You say to the pet, okay, today I don't have meat, or today I don't give you meat, something like that. If the pet is small, the pet would innocently ask you for meat, right? If the pet is somewhat big, he can it can even like bark at you, right? I mean, maybe he can get angry if you say that you don't give food. So if the pet is way bigger, like we can think about a lion or a tiger or something like that. So if you don't give meat, and the pet is very hungry, and pet is very looking forward for whatever the meat that he's looking for, he might even come and bite you, I don't know, something like that, right? So the keles, or these sensual pleasures are also similar to that. Yeah, in my example, you feed them every day, right? So not in this life, in your previous life, previous life, the previous life, throughout the lifespan, throughout eons, you have fed your senses, you have fed your sensual pleasures, like be it a sight, be it a sound, be it a touch, be it a smell, be it a taste, something. So when you feed it, it becomes bigger. It becomes more valuable. It becomes more, as Usita rightly said, you can't feel it, right? So you do it every life after life. You try to feel it, but in Dhamma it is said that like it's like filling a basket without a bottom. You fill it, but it never gets filled. So you think that you like chocolates, you eat chocolate, and you think that you fulfill your need, but never ends. Never ends. In next life you want chocolates. In next life you want chocolates. Likewise, it would never end. Maybe it can come through a different form, but it never ends. The requirement for taste, requirement to see, requirement to feel. So that never ends, right? So when you give for a particular keles or particular sense more food, more feed, then it will become bigger, and it will make you work more harder and harder to if you want to, one day you will understand this world is something like this world is with anicca dukkha anatta. This world is not something which I can control. This world is full of sorrow, or maybe dukkha. It can result to dukkha. So that you think that one day you think that this bhava cycle is something that I should stop. But that day, when you look back, you have mountain of keles, mountain of these kind of pets that you feed, you fed. You never knew that you fed this much of pets in your life. Every day you feed. It's not one pet, right? So in morning you feed one pet, at 8 o'clock you feed one pet, 9 o'clock one pet. Likewise, every day you tend to feed these pets, and they become bigger and bigger and bigger. So like if you want to get slim, you want to eat all the junk food and you want to do exercises, but if your junk food is more than your exercise, it never happens, right? So it's the balance. So it's like that. If you feed that, it becomes more and more harder for you to, if you really want to end the suffering, if you really want to end the bhava cycle, then you will have to stop being controlled. It's like the tail wagging the dog, right? It's the sensors that wags you. So it should be the other way, right? Like if you want to do something, you should be able to do that, but never happens. Every time your desire, your wanting, your craving, that will take the major part, and that will order you to do something. So it's not the way that we want to do, right? So at least we need control. But and at the end, you will understand all these pets are the ones who controls you. So that is the first side of the story. So you give food and feed to your keles or sensual pleasures, and then they becomes bigger and they start controlling you. Like anyway, by hook or crook, they would try to maybe innocently, maybe politely, maybe like rude. It can be different, but they will want to do whatever the craving that they wanted to have, right? The other side of the story, as Usita said, uh, there are some spiritual practices which would restrain these senses to the maximum, right? They would not allow anything to come up. So they think that we should stop this. So I will not eat, or maybe I will not look at anything. It's like in one desana it is said that in one such kind of spiritual practitioner comes and says to Lord Buddha that his teacher teaches that to not to get sight you close eyes, to not to hear you close your ears. So then you will be able to stop these things. Then Lord Buddha says to Lord Ananda, Bhikkhu Ananda, this is how this teacher teaches how to stop these senses being acting upon you. Look how the teacher has taught. Then Bhikkhu Ananda says, Lord Buddha, it's time to desana the right way of doing that, right way of Indriya Bhavana. So then he do the desana, saying that when you see it, but you don't cling it with raga, dvesha, moha. So you likewise all the six senses. Lord Buddha desanas about this. So it's not that you stop it. It's not that you don't hear it anymore. You don't feel it anymore. It's not that you don't see it anymore. It's that you understand the true nature of that. You understand true 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 aspect, or the if you take the pleasure or the ashwada that sense is giving, you see the real nature, the gross nature of the ashwada, and you see the adverse consequences of that ashwada. So seeing that, you understand that this is something that I should avoid. Like maybe the right word would be not to avoid, but maybe you get like instantaneously without your consent also it could get disattached, like it's called nisarana. So it's basically the aswada and seeing the adinava is the adverse consequences, and nisarana is you letting it go. Maybe you don't do it in by action, but it happens instantaneously without your automatically, I would say. So the other end of the story is that everything you put under the carpet or under the water, you don't do it. That's not the correct way also. In that way, you can't completely eliminate. For a short period you can, but still I doubt, because even though you put it under your carpet or water, in mind it pops up. Most of you would have had this experience, because some people go for meditations, some people go to the jungle, but they fail to they achieve something called the silence, or being separated from the community. But most of the time he fails to get separated through his mind. He get connected through the mind. He physically don't engage with them, but his mind, he thinks about them. He thinks about the places, the people, the cravings, the pleasures, or whatever. By mind, he fails to do that. So it's not physically getting it separated. Physically getting separated can help, but if you don't do it in the right way, it would be a very temporary thing that happens. That Keles would only go down for a certain period. So it is important to know that it's not feeding them. It's not fully hiding it under the water. It's just that you need to understand the correct, uh, the actual state of that Keles, or the sense, or the pleasure. So to start off with, I hope that the example was clear, and I hope that the two ends that I mentioned was clear. So if anything is not clear up until now, we can discuss, and if not, I can move forward in the discussion.
Any questions up to this point?
No, I think okay, I think it's clear. So please stop me if there's anything right, because this is an important topic, and this is something kind of a tricky one, right? Because in one way you think that you should stop it, but the other way you think that if you fully stop it, you can't even do vidarsana, right? So stop me at any point. I'm willing to answer. But if I move through this topic, um, when you so the spectrum has difference. Like the extreme end would be to have to do even akusal. When you are too you have a big value on that, you even can do akusal on this. For example, it can be a sensual pleasure that you can go to that extreme end where you can do akusal, do some wrongdoings to others, do something bad to yourself, to the world, or whatever. So these akusal, we need to stop, right? So that's when in the path at the start you hear about this Sheila. Hear about these five perceptions, like the Pansil, the Atasil, the like the eight perceptions, all the Sheila you do because for some early stage people, it's really hard for them to even to stop akusal, like killing people, doing like being a thief, or yeah, there are five perceptions, right? Like all the perceptions uh, you do because you can't control it. So then yeah, in the early stage, it is not really the path, right? It's pre-path. Before the path, you have these are the things that helps you, because you you start stopping them consciously by force for a given period, at least for a day or a week. You stop these things by doing. Even for senses, you can do this, right? Like because the akusal, the wrongdoings you do because of your sensual pleasures. If you want a sensual pleasure, you don't even mind whether like if you take a sexual thing, so you don't mind if it's a person, a husband or a wife, or of another person. You don't matter if that goes into that extent. So in that sense, you have to consciously by force stop that. In the third perception, it says that you would not engage in such kind of activities if it's not your wife or husband or whoever. But if it's a wrongdoing in the society, you would not do it. So at the start, you will have to do such kind of Sheila if you are not in control. So those are prerequisite, right? So you have to stop akusal first. So because akusal, if you let them come in and do whatever they want, it would result in a very bad consequences even in the laukika world, even in the normal world. You can get in jail, you can get killed, you can get hit, whatever. So those things, I think it's fundamental to get away from them. then so these are the things that would help you. But when you come to a certain stage, I mean that you understand these akusal is not good, and you start refraining from them, and then you come into one state where you understand the core concepts of Dhamma and you want to end suffering, but still you have these sensual requirements or the pleasures that you would like to have. So these would still drive you that way, but uh, you want to stop them, but it's really hard. I think the question posted was something related to that, and you wanted to stop, but you can't, right? It happens because you fed this pet, not throughout years, but throughout your lifespans, throughout your bhava. You have fed these pets, so it should be really hard, right? By fact, it should be really hard. So you should like first move away from akusal, because if you start giving them go, and you get into some bad place in the society, it would not give a good pathway to the path. So you refrain from that, and and then what you should do is, so when something like that comes, so here the key is the satya, the awareness, the consciousness is very key here, right? I know it's really difficult. In something like this pops up, it's really difficult to have this satya. So that's when you need practice. But you can target one, right? So if you have one sensual pleasure or two sensual pleasures that you really want to stop, right? So then you target that, you focus that through today, through tomorrow, to day after tomorrow. You think that if this comes, I will do this. So have your sati like that. It's not the pure samma sati, but at least you have some awareness and some amount of samma sati on that. And then what you can do is that when that comes, for example, if you want to eat something or to do something, then you do it, right? If it's not harming anyone, you do it. And by doing it, but you in mind, you don't feed it. In mind, you don't give more value. In mind, you don't expect that to come again in a very, you don't crave for that. You eat that, and you experience that, and you get the good feeling of that. But at the same time, the important most thing is that you have to think the real nature of this thing. So in our first lesson, if I'm not mistaken, if someone has missed that, you can also refer to that. These three characteristics of all the things of world, which are anicca, dukkha, anatta. The anicca nature is the nature that gets changed, which is not in your control, which is not to your liking. So this kind of idea it gives. Dukkha is it results in dukkha. I think that most of you know. There are three stages of dukkha. Sankara dukkha, where you do a lot of things by difficulties to achieve something, and viparinama dukkha is when something changes into a state where you don't like. Then there is one dukkha, and dukkha is the continuous dukkha in the bhava chakra. So you think about this anicca, dukkha, anatta of these pleasures or the sensual requirements or the actions that you do. So you think about that and do. When you eat,
Just to add to that, Taya, if anyone is interested and they haven't seen it, it's also in this the Dhamma section in Basics and Four Noble Truths with examples, so you all can go through if you want to. Okay.
yeah, it's in basics also. Yeah, correct. Thank you, Sunil. So you should think about in that nature. You should think in that nature when you are doing such thing. You should think in that nature so that you when you're doing it, you think whether this action or the thing or the object, whether it's anicca or nicca, whether it's dukkha or sukha, whether it's atta or anatta, which is like good or bad, valuable or not. Hello.
Yes, sir. We can hear you, but you went out for a while.
All right. Yeah. Uh, so whether it's anicca or nicca, whether it's dukkha or sukha, whether it's atta or anatta, it's like whether it's valuable or not, whether it's good or bad. So likewise, you think about that and do it. Then you understand, then you start realizing, even though you enjoy it or do it, in the back of your mind you have sati, awareness, and you really look at that, and while doing it you look at that, whether this is anicca, dukkha or anatta, whether it's nicca, sukha or atta. So this you continuously look. If you forgot to do it just after you do the action, then you think about that. So what did I do? So whether that action was anicca, dukkha, anatta, or whether that action was nicca, sukha, atta. Because it's the absolute truth of the world, each and every time you will realize, but by yourself you can experience it. Each and every time you will realize that this is still anicca, dukkha, anatta. If you have the correct amount of wisdom and the prajna and the vision, you will see this. Because if you have heard the dhamma and you have realized it, you will see it. So if you still after a few minutes or few hours you can you are not in the same sati that you can reflect on this, do it at the end of the day. At the end of the day, before you go sleep, then you look back at your day and understand, so okay, where I got trapped in this day, what are the sensual pleasures that went over me without control, went without my control. So then you then reflect back and try to think, okay, whether this thing is anicca, dukkha, anatta, whether it's this anicca or nicca, whether it's dukkha or sukha, whether it's atta or anatta. So you think about this, and then you slowly realize that okay, this is like this. I get defeated this time, but let us see tomorrow. Let us do this tomorrow and see what happens. So likewise, you try to do it at the point of the action. If not, afterwards. If not, after some minutes or hours. If not, at the end of the day, you start doing this. Uh, Try not to do akusal, right? Akusal is anyway bad. You know that consequences is bad. Even in Laukika nature, it's really bad. So you refrain from that anyway. But in your domain, if something is allowed legally to do, but you do, but never feed in a way that this is so valuable, you need this. You can do that if you really think that, right? So that's okay. If you really think that this is valuable, you should not by force put it down. But while doing, if you really see it in your prajna eye or the samadhi eye, if you can't do it at that point, after a few minutes, after 1 hour, maybe after at the end of the day, if you really see it, have a look back of that, then you should be able to see the real nature, transparently see the actions, the consequences, the bad consequences, or the adinava of these actions, the gross nature of this ashwada, that you can see. See the gross nature of the ashwada, see the adverse consequences of the adinava, and then slowly this sensual pleasure or the thing that it's disturbing you in the path would slowly get nisarana, or that you stop dealing with that keles. Likewise, you slowly start having better control over the keles or the sensual pleasures. So the key here is the sati. If you can have the sati there, that's great. If you don't have it, at least try to have at in a later stage. So once you have the sati, then you have the you should be able to see it in at least in some samadhi, and then you should be able to see it in a clear version to see whether that is what is nature. So when you see this, you like something starts happening, right? So then you start scolding yourself. Start this happens naturally. Sometimes you might have heard you might have experienced this, because like when you see the real nature, you feel really bad, right? You don't have control even in that. If you want to stop, you can't stop, but it's not something valuable. It's something giving you some adverse consequences, but still you can't stop it. And it's a really gross thought. It's a very gross action, but still you can't stop it. You see how helpless you are. You see how gross you are. Then you start scolding your mind. You start uh, say think about your mind in a way that you think that, okay, you do this, you get defeated, you don't have any control, you do this gross thing, you are such a person. I know that, but it's really bad. It's really bad situation that I felt in. You really see that from the bottom of your heart. You see that, but still you do that because you are helpless. Because you are helpless, because you have fed that pet a lot in your samsara, so that you are helpless. You are helpless so that you don't have the luxury to take a decision. That pet takes decisions on behalf of you. So that's a very helpless situation where you truly understand and you truly hate yourself to getting into this situation. So that's okay. You feel that and you still do that. That's fine. Anyway, you did that, right? Now feeling this, you do this, and feeling this, you start realizing the real nature of this, and then slowly it will get nisarana, or the dealings of that would be slowly getting released. The bond, the nature, that the tail wagging the dog, that nature would slowly go off. You will have a better control. If you want to do it, you do it. If you don't want to do, you can not do it. But there are some occasions you can't resist. It can be a food, or it can be any sensual pleasure, or whatever. uh, Sometimes you go beyond your control, right? But the control slowly comes because you understand this is something that would take you to a lot of adverse situations. This would take you to suffering, dukkha, the bhava, uh, or the disappointment, or whatever. So all the real aspects of this you can then feel and understand. So then slowly you can get this out. So here, when this comes, you if it's not something harming anyone or harming yourself, you do it. You think about it, but think in a way. If you can think in sati awareness, think it in the way of anicca dukkha anatta, or the real nature of the world, the three characteristics of the world. You see the world in that nature. Then slowly, even though you do it, the acceleration slowly becomes a deceleration, slowly becomes a constant speed. Then it slowly becomes a deceleration. Then it slowly stops, and then you becomes a person who you can walk in the other path of the stream, not the downwards. You call it patichotagami. Don't go in the downwards where the world is going. You have the ability and the strength to go upwards in the stream. So that you will slowly gain. But the important thing is that you should understand wherever you get defeated in this skeles or this sensors or whatever. So wherever you get defeated, you understand that you got defeated. You understand that you got defeated because you did every feeding to this pet up until now, and you stop feeding them. Stop feeding is not that you do not do it. You do it with the correct vision, with the correct drushti, this the ditti, correct ditti. You do it, and you slowly understand then how the thing get decelerated, and then you understand that you get defeated. Tomorrow also you understand you got defeated today also, but you understand that this fight I will win someday, because I am now seeing the correct picture of this problem. I am now starting seeing this correct picture of how the world mind works, how this pet controls me. This I see now. The adverse consequences, the downfall of my future, I see it now. So I have the decision making power slowly. So that you see, then slowly you get into better position, so that you do it, you see it in the correct picture and do it. And then you slowly, your actions would slowly decelerate, then your wordings would slowly decelerate, and your thoughts of this aspect would slowly decelerate, and you slowly get away from whatever the thing that you want to get away from. So I mentioned I will mention one more point on this topic or the section. The word I mentioned was sati. The important other word I mentioned here was sati, right? In one sutta in sutta Pitaka, that's called Chappanaka Sutta. So in this sutta, Lord Buddha mentions about example. So this example is really important to understand why this sati is really important. In that sutta, Lord Buddha mentions about six animals, right? So you have six animals: a crocodile, and a snake, and a bird, and a dog, and a monkey, and and a cow. So you have six animals tied into six ropes, and then these six ropes are tied into one place. All the six ropes are tied into each other, so they are connected, and then you let them freely move, right? So crocodile would want to go to the river, bird would want to go to the sky, the cow would want to go to the farm. Likewise, six would want to go to different places. So they try hard and hard, but the most person who have the most strength would take. For example, think the crocodile. If that crocodile is uh, more fit, then more strength, then all the six people, all the six animal would have to go to the river, because it would carry out to the river. If that is the cow, then that would go to the farm. If that is the dog, it would go to the house. Likewise, in one or other pace of the situation, it would change, right? So if you don't have the sati, it would go wayward. It can go to the river, it can go to the farm, to the jungle, to the sky, to the home, wherever. But that's when you don't have the control of your senses. You let them do whatever thing. You feed them, and then all of them are getting stronger and stronger, and they go wherever the way they want. So you don't have any control over that. So in the other situation, it is mentioned that you have these ropes and you tie it into a pillar. For example, a stone, a big stone, or a pillar. So they try to go, but they can't go. They try and try and try. They get fed up, and then they get fed up, and they can't move, because this is fixed into a pillar called sati, the awareness, the right ditti. So if you have this, these six senses are not able to go through as wayward as they want. They can't. The tail cannot wag the dog. The pet can't control you. You control the pet. So that's how sati is helping to stop your senses getting control over you. So this is a good example that Lord Buddha has done in the Deshana. So yeah, I hope that the basic things that I wanted to cover in this topic, I think I covered. Uh, if you need any other clarity on this, I think we can also have discussion over this.
Any questions? Anyone can add anything? Something I want to add is I think the example of feeding the mind is pretty important, because so far in our lives we have been feeding it, and most of the time unconsciously. We don't even understand the science of what's happening inside. Whenever our mind like sells us something and tells us, okay, this is valuable, go behind this. Like this sensory pleasure is valuable. Be it music, food, even meeting. A friend, or like anything, like I feel like the mind kind of shows that it's valuable, and then we automatically go behind it. And here in this sense is not to like stop, yeah, like Vingunai rightly mentioned, it's not to cut it off completely, but with that sati we are able to see it, and we realize we are feeding it, and we won't feed it any further. So it's not really a suppression, it's not really feeding it, because you would see, I mean, when you come more and more into that awareness, that you actually actively feed this, you actively feed this process. And there's a point to see, oh my, like, my gosh, I'm actively feeding this, and let me just stop it at this thought itself. Why should I go along with this mind throughout this entire journey, and stop it there? So you can actually stop it in that, little by little you'll be able to stop it in the first few thoughts. Because like the train, again, I bring this example again, like the train leaving the station, it's easy to catch it when it leaves the station, but once it goes so far ahead, it becomes very difficult to catch it. But sometimes, like Vengu and I mentioned, you can get onto the train, and see at the different stations it goes to, and then you get down and look, okay, where am I now, how did I get here, why did he get on the station, did he really get anything out of it? And constantly keep on criticizing the mind and questioning the mind as to why it's doing what it's doing. Yeah, and for other people again, who are interested, in if you all are familiar with the Paticsampadaya, I think at this point, in my experience, the way I see it is, uh, when when there is something, and when there's a particular kind of Vedana for something, like there's some kind of pleasure for something, then there is Tanha. So Vedana Pachya Tanha, and then this is the moment to moment Patisampradaya. Tanha, and then Upadana, Tanha, Upadana, Bhava Jati. So really, you can stop it at the Tanha without it getting to the Upadana. I feel like getting to the Upadana Bhava, at one point when your awareness grows, you see that if I do this any further, if I may indulge in this process, what I'm actually doing is I am just multiplying on the Tanha here, making more Upadana and Bhava. So yeah, that is just for the ones who are actively using the Paticsampadaya. Uh, yeah, that's all I want to add. And also another point Vihangunaya brought up is that you get this kind of icky kind of feeling when you really see the nature of your mind. You're like, really, like, you feel this almost disgusted nature at yourself, at what it's doing. Because but the crazy part is still it's happening, but you're disgusted at it. Uh, uh, Initially it can start off as hate, but then we must realize that this is also not really towards the path to nibbana, because even that is a trap. Through hating this, you are again going to want another panchupadanaskandha, another five aggregates, another mind, which may go smoothly. So indirectly, again, by hating it, you are manifesting another mind, you are making the hetu for another mind. So that disgust feeling, I feel like, is there throughout. But also be careful, I think, without actively becoming angry and hating it. I don't think everyone goes through this. But in some people's nature, there is this self-hate kind of characteristic which sometimes becomes prominent. So the understanding, it comes through understanding, and not by loving or hating anything. It's purely through seeing what really the mind is. So yeah, any questions to today's discussion?
I would like to add something through my personal experience, what I have gone through in the past few days in regards to an attachment I had towards a certain sensory pleasure. Can you guys hear me properly?
Yeah, bit unclear, but can hear.
Okay, so I struggled with internet addiction, like content consumption addiction, for like the longest time, because when it came to like my work happened on social media, and for the past 6 years, everything, like I created identity through social media and through the work that I do, right? And then I mean, I was able to let go of so many sensory pleasures that was super tough for me to let go of, but this was by far the toughest. And and like I said, I tried this the whole suppression thing. It didn't work, and then I just started watching. I started watching it through Sati, and I went through this time period of overindulgence, and I experienced this Jaramarna, this disgusting, this residual grossness that I could feel constantly just through me and within me. And that kind of naturally helped me to let go of it. And again, I did experience the hate towards that attachment during a certain period of time, but now the hate also has dissolved, and I kind of don't have a feeling about it as much anymore. I'm not saying it's completely gone, but right now the momentum uh, um, that I had around it is so much less. So I just want to share that with you.
Yeah, thank you, guy. I think that word is also key. The momentum, the acceleration, those kind of things reduce little by little, and throughout the day, throughout the practice, you'll kind of actively see it has reduced a lot. When you look back at a particular time and you look back now, sure, there is still the mind which is running, but its momentum seems to be a lot less. Vingunai, do you want anything to add to the past few comments?
Yeah, no, I think that's correct. Like the example which Gaya gave is an actual example which can happen, and once you have that feeling, and then it also goes out, like the bad feeling that you have about having this, and then that also goes out because it becomes insignificant, right? It becomes very negligent kind of a thing. Uh, so I think it's really important to feel it by yourself. Try it with one thing, just one thing. You try it and understand the real nature, and don't put it under the water or the carpet. So one big trap coming here is that you think that this thing is not good. This will take you in power. So at the first moment that you see it, you stop thinking about it. You just forget it. If something is bad is being processed through your mind, is if you see something or something like that, you start putting it under the carpet because you feel it's a bad thing to have, right? So you don't even think about it. So that's a big trap in this vipassana or vidarsana. If you really don't see the nature of vidarsana, really, if you don't see it, what you do is that when you see that, you just stop thinking about it. You just neglect it. You just put it under the carpet. But that's something which can badly impact you and take you through a longer period to eliminate this thing. Because when you see it, for example, think if you're going in the road, you see something, right, and you get attached to something, or maybe you get something that you don't want to have a feeling. So then you think that this particular feeling is something bad, but you should just think away from that, right? But you never understand when you think about that. For example, you when you go in the road, you see something that you like, right? And then you want to buy that or something like that, right? And then you think that uh, so this thing is not good, and for example, say you want to maybe, I don't know, or something like that, right? So you think that having alcohol is not good, right? So when you go pass by and you see it and you think that okay, this is not good, so that I don't even have to think about this. I should neglect it and suppress it, and you don't think about that because alcohol word, you label it. When you see the bar or the alcohol or the word, when you have the alcohol, you have a certain label. You don't see the big story behind that. When you see that word, you label it and you stop it. Uh, for example, if you see that and you get that first thought about that, you see it's not a good thing, so that you remove it. But if you start uh, start thinking about it, you might realize, okay, so it's not that alcohol or the intoxication that I'm looking for. It's the freedom that I need to have. It's the association of friends that I'm looking for. Maybe it's the relaxed time in somewhere I'm looking for. It's the time that I want out of the problems I'm looking for. So that you don't see if you label the thought at the first point and remove it. If you remove it, you don't see the background story of that. But if you see it, you see it's a bad thing, but you let the mind go. You let the mind go slowly, and you see where it's going. Okay, it's going to the friends that I like to associate, or it's going to the place where I get away from all the problems. Okay, it's going to the place where you have a very funful night with the friends, having chats and watching a cricket match, something like that. Okay, so it's not just that the alcohol, it's the whole setup that I'm getting attached to. But if you remove that thought at the first point, you will lose all the contemplation opportunities that you would have with the friends, the cricket match, the party, the music, the nature that you go away from problems. You lose all the opportunities there, right? So be conscious about that. So it's a very tricky game, right? You can't let it fully go out of control. Also, you can't not think about it. It's like a uh, so there's a nice example that one Thero said in one of his deshana. It's like some cats, they catch a mouse, right? So they catch and they hit them in the ground, and they make it into a state where the mouse can't barely move. It's in a weak state. So then the cat lets the mouse walk, because he knows that mouse can't walk away from you because it's in a very weak state. So you let the mouse go and see where the mouse is going. So then if the mouse is running a little bit fast, you go and catch that mouse again, and then come and then not feeding that mouse, and then keep him away. You don't kill him, because if you kill him or hide him or eat him, you don't see where it's going. So if you hide him, once you see it, then you don't know where the mouse is going. So the keles is like that monk said, which is a very good example. You should go away from the akusal, which means that you make it weaken, so that you don't do akusal with that thought. You make them weaken, so that that mouse can't control you. So when that mouse get weak, then you let him go slowly away from you and see where it's going, and identify where their neighborhoods are, where the people are. So likewise, then that's a good balance. It's a balance that you can achieve through practice. You start doing to one thing, and as Gaya said, so there are certain amount of examples you would have think about the past, and you can in future also you can target one thing or two things, three things, and have a good plan. And you see, when you see fights winning, if it's a war, you have to plan it, right? You have to plan the war, and you have to sector them by small fights, right? So these are small fights that you have to win. So every day, every minute, every second, you get defeated in fights in up until now, right? All the time the enemy controls you. But here you need to understand, if you target these fights correctly, and fight these fights correctly, and win one fight, you will understand you can win fights. You can win fights, and you win one fight, two fights, three fights, and then you are knowing that you are going to win this war. You are going to end this suffering. You are going to end this bad suffering which was there in the Sansaric Chakra. And you know that by winning fights, you can win a war. So that's really important, that you start a strategic plan and you target the most problematic ones, and you do that, and you will experience that you will not get whacked by the tail, and you are not hit by the pet like badly. So that when you see that, and when you achieve that, when you sense that freedom, then I think it's a feeling that cannot buy. It's a feeling, it's a freedom that is giving you a lots of relief, and you'll surely feel that you are going in the correct way of the path. That's called ragakaya, that's called mohakaya, that's called dveshakaya, and that's called going in the path of nibbana.
Thank you for that, Aya. That was very useful. Anyone else? Do you have any questions or comments to add? You can even leave them at the chit chat section if you are not comfortable talking. We won't be having any questions after the meditation. So if you all have any questions, even to like past deshanas, if anything pops up, just leave it at the question section or the chit chat section, and we'll get back to you all on like another discussion. That being said, Daya, shall we move to the meditation then?
Yes, I hope that there is no questions. I'm not sure who asked the question initially, which is an interesting and important question, but I'm not sure whether that person who asked is here in the call. If he or she is here, I think maybe it would be good to understand whether the discussion helped to resolve the problem and whether this is clear for his or her question.
Yeah, no, I don't think they are here, but I guess they will go through it. Another thing they've talked about is um, some people feel like in order to do like what we were talking about, that it's essential to have solitude, that it is essential to go away from society. But that's not the case. Yeah, we can do it here and now without really changing our lifestyle, unless our lifestyle is bringing other people down. I don't think there is absolutely anything wrong with the way we are leading it with our responsibilities and everything. It's very much possible to do this because it's just it's something which happens inside. It's something which is an observation and investigation. So we don't really need to really change too much outside, because you can get obsessed even in that. And I personally experienced that too. Like we are obsessed in like changing everything to be ideal, but even that is like a trap. That is also in one way feeding the mind. um
Yeah. So that's not mandatory, right? Like it's still possible with how you live in the normal daily life. But that being said, in Dhamma, it's been said that it's easier if you are having the kaya viveka, the kaya, the physical freeness, and the chitta viveka, the mental freeness. So when you have that, it is been said that it can be in a monastery, or it can be in a lifestyle which is very free. But saying that, it is said that if you have those things and if you have that kind of freedom without the jobs or the commitments and all those stuff, it says like being a monk or going in that practice. If you are in the correct place, you should be aware that there could be places which are worse than your current state. But if you are in that place, it can be like a swan going in the path. If you are going all with all the responsibilities, all jobs and all the other stuff, then it's like a peacock going in the path, because you have these what do you call it, when you if it's a peacock, you have the width is more, right? So it can hit into the different obstacles. So that is there anyway. But saying that for peacock to go is also not impossible. You can do, just understand the kaya viveka and chitta viveka can help you a lot. Get away from the unnecessary burdens, get away from the unnecessary responsibilities, get away from the unnecessary commitments. That will help you a lot in the path. While saying that the normal lifestyle that we currently practice is not a obstacle to go in the path in accelerated manner. It's not an issue, but you should understand that you should have time, you should have the freedom, you should have the space to do practice whatever the things. But having this experience in day-to-day life as much as possible would really help you if you are really dedicated to go in the path.
okay then, if there are any questions, we'll wait for like 10 seconds, and then if not, you can start the meditation.
Okay. We'll wait and start in few seconds. Okay, close your eyes. And be placed in a comfortable way with your hands and legs and spine straight. Take a good deep breath. Hold it. Let it go. Another deep breath. Hold it. Let it go. Another deep breath. Hold it. Let it slowly go. Thinking how the attachments you had deeply within you can slowly go away. Whether you like it or not, how it can slowly fade away. By time, by death, by desire, by nature, even you want badly, how it can slowly fade away. Focus about the sounds in your surrounding. See how the mind goes through them one by one. Sharply see how instantaneously mind shifts from one sound to another sound. We lived in this world. We fed this world. We wanted this world. We learned about this world. We understood how the world can end up by suffering. And may that world, may that sounds, may that objects be in the world. May my mind get away from that world. May this be a rare moment in my samsara that I start looking inside. Whatever it's been in the world, they got created in my mind. The world was created in my mind. Through all the kusal that I've done through Bhava, I got this moment of truth, moment to see myself, moment to see the world, moment to see the universe, which was created only inside, through mind. May the blessings of Buddha, the Lord Buddha, be with me. The energy of Lord Buddha be with me in this time where I see the truth. I see the world. I see the universe built within, in my mind, second after second. May any disturbances not come to me. May my respect be to the great Lord Buddha, the great characteristics of the Buddha, which showed me this path. Itipi so Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijjācarana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhammasarati Satta Deva Manussanang Buddho Bhagavati. Let me think about this second. The next second. The next second. The samsara is aggregation of these seconds. Full and filled with seconds that I did not had control. The klesha pets, they controlled me throughout the seconds. Because I fed them. I fed them with raga. I fed them with dvesha. I fed them with moha. I fed them with value. I fed them with avidya. I touched them. I felt them. I got craved for them. I go to Padana. I created Bhava. Started from there. Incrementally, it got bigger. Once innocently, once friendly, once aggressively, once it would have made me suicide. The Klesh pets are rude. They only want what they want. But I can't let them go because I built them, because I spent time, energy, money building them. It's mine. It's me. Without them, I cannot find myself. I want myself. That's why I'm holding to them. But I see they are rude. They are not in my control. The pleasures I get are gross. It's like filling a bucket without a base. I feel it yesterday. I feel it throughout the last week. I feel it throughout the last month. I feel it throughout the year. I feel it throughout my this bubble. I feel it throughout my previous bubbles. I tried to feel it eons, throughout eons, but it never got filled. Instead, I got fed up. I died. I got ill. I got born again. I tried. It seemed like it's getting filled. It never got filled. It made me fed up. It made me disappointed. It gave me suffering at the end all the time. Feeling is tedious, but I didn't feel it because I was expecting The feeling once I get it filled. For a small moment, I saw it getting filled. But truly, it leaked again. It resulted in lots of adverse situations, disappointments, surprises, jealousy, which I didn't want. But all values of these things, without my control, yielded jealousy, yielded sadness, yielded hunger, yielded dukkha, yielded more craving, more padana, more bhava, more jati, more dukkha, more domanasa, more upayasa. So the day has come. The day I know that I should stop feeding. The day I start winning small fights. The day I see the world in real nature. The day that I see the real root, the real inception, my mind, the whole world, the whole universe, build within, build in my mind, built by me, the me who was not there, but I built, the me who wanted this world, the me who now sees the world, the me who will now let go the world. May I think about my eyes, the Rupa, the consciousness built through Rupa and eyes. They are not worth to take as myself, me, because they yield dukkha. Think about the sound, the ear, the consciousness of the sound and ear, and may that not be taken as me or myself, because it yields dukkha. Think about the nose, the smell, the consciousness built through that. Think whether you should take it as me, myself, and whether you should feed them as me, and myself, and to myself. Think about the taste, the tongue, the consciousness built through that, and think how you have fed them, built them, and took it as me and myself, and whether you should take them furthermore as me and myself because it's yielding dukkha. Think about the touch, the body, the consciousness built through that, and see how you fed them, thinking them as valuable, noble, pleasureful, and yielded again dukkha by losing or by wanting or by missing or by other means. Think what would yield if you further do it. Think whether you should take it as me or myself furthermore. Think about the mind, the Dhamma, the consciousness built through thoughts, taking it as me, myself, my world, my people, my objects, my universe, me, accumulating things as me, myself, yielding in dukkha, yielding in craving, yielding in upadana, yielding in bhava, yielding in jati, in a cyclic process, yielding in dukkha. So it's this moment, it's this second, it's the next second. You stop feeding, stop craving, stop valuing, stop becoming, stop dukkha. May this thought, may this understanding, may this practice, may this freedom of letting go be with all the beings in the East, be with all the beings, all the living beings in South. May this freedom and may this relief by letting go and letting go dukkha, myself, me, the world, the universe, be with all the beings in West, all the beings in North, all the beings underneath, all the beings upwards. May the feeling I feel right now, the light, the understanding, the freedom, the truth spread through all the directions. This world, through to the 31 realms, through to the 10,000 chakra avatars, even beyond that. May this race of freedom, may this race of kindness, may this feeling, may this truth spread through the world. Throughout the 31 realms, throughout the universe, may all beings eliminate suffering, be Sotapanna, be Sakadagami, be Anagami, and end suffering, becoming noble Arihat. One fine day, very soon, like I will in this power. I will chant the Gatha, giving this meaning of ending suffering through the greatest refuge of triple gems and the Nibbana. I will end this meditation with this noble Gatha. May you and all the beings in the world end suffering through the ultimate liberation of Nibbana by stop feeding the trellis, by contemplating, understanding the truth, understanding the world, understanding the universe, built within yourself, built by you. Natti me saranang annang, buddho me saranang varang. Natti me saranang annang, Dhammo me saranang varang. Natti me saranang annang, Sangho me saranang varang. Natti me saranang annang, Nibbānang paramang sukhang. Natti me saranang annang, Nibbānang paramang sukhang. Natti me saranang annang, Nibbānang paramang sukhang.